The main antagonistic force in Hollow Knight is the infection, brought about by a higher being called the Radiance and Bug's resistance to her influence over their minds. But the Radiance is obviously not the only higher being in this world. What if, in an alternate universe, a different higher being or force of nature caused an infection similar to that of the Radiance? What would it look like? How would it spread and manifest? I'll be taking a look at this possibility for each higher being as well as some other sources I had ideas for. A being similar to the Radiance in many aspects is the Nightmare's Heart. It's confined to the Dream Realm, specifically a division of it called the Nightmare Realm, and needs a vessel to manifest its power physically. The Radiance was able to cause the infection because she represents light and dreams, which are part of nature, and bugs trying to resist those things made them fall victim. The Nightmare's Heart seems to represent fear, a similarly natural part of all beings. Even in real life, trying to suppress your fears can only make them worse. The actual manifestation of this infection might look similar to the Radiance's, except it would be scarlet in color rather than orange or golden, and it may take the form of flames in the physical world. The Pale King is somewhat like the Radiance in that he gave off a light that could influence bugs' minds in some way, except instead of having total control over them like the Radiance, he expanded the bugs' minds and made them more intelligent. But what if the king, even still as the worm, could use his power to take over minds? What if his and the Radiance's roles were reversed, with bugs turning their backs to him once she arrived, or if he arrived and they refused to turn away from the Radiance in the first place? Since he also represents light in some way, resisting his mental presence could cause an infection. It would be pale and white in appearance like him. Then there's the other pale being in this story, the White Lady. In the game's canon, she is gentle and caring, but what if her personality was more manipulative and controlling? What if taking the portion of green path that became her gardens wasn't enough for her, and she wanted to control all of the land, as well as all of its creatures? In the game, the White Lady states that she can feel things through her roots. What if she used her roots to control and infect bugs like a puppeteer? As for what part of nature she would represent, it could be plants or things like veins and arteries that run through living creatures, which would allow her to invade and infect their minds and bodies. Another being with connections to plants is Un. She was able to create the plant and bug life in Green Path through the power of her dream. What if something motivated her to truly exert control, such as anger at the pale beings for taking parts of her land and desire for revenge against them through their subjects? She could probably use her power to make plants spread into the minds and bodies of all bugs in Hallownest, then effectively control the bugs with the plants as a medium. This infection would almost be like kudzu in real life. It would be green in color, of course. A higher being who is more mysterious than the others, but seems to have a connection with the dream realm is the Abyss creature, believed to be the source of all lifeblood. Perhaps an infection from this creature would simply result from bugs consuming too much lifeblood, absorbing it into their systems in such a way that the Abyss creature could control them. An infection caused by the Abyss creature may appear almost identical to that of the Radiance, except with light blue blobs and liquid instead of orange ones. A very opposite scenario to the one that we see in the game would be the Void infecting and controlling bugs. In the game, we see several instances of void tendrils seemingly reaching up from the abyss and even touching creatures such as the King's Mold outside the White Palace. It would probably control bugs in a manner similar to how I described the White Lady doing so with her roots. The void represents darkness and emptiness, both essential parts of nature, so bugs could not resist it completely. As for why it would want to do this, possibly it misses being worshipped by the ancient civilization that originated from the abyss and existed before Hallownest. It would take offense to no longer being worshipped and being forgotten about, just like the Radiance did. An enemy from the game that gave me another infection idea is the Fungified Husk. Its Hunter's Journal entry describes it as the remains of a bug reanimated by fungus spores. In the game, these enemies also appear to be infected by the Radiance, as their eyes have the signature orange glow of infected creatures. But what if the spores alone were enough to control the minds and bodies of bugs? What if this could happen through fungus growing all over their body like the fungified husks, similar to a cordyceps in real life? What if there's some singular fungus-related being it could originate from, such as the giant fungal creature in the fungal core? Instead of orange blobs of infection, there would just be mushrooms growing in places outside of the fungal wastes. Similarly, crystallized husks gave me the idea for an infection in the form of crystals. Even though there doesn't seem to be any particular being that the crystals originate from, they are known to contain great power as well as sing, so it wouldn't be out of place to assume that they possess a will that would make them want to spread and grow on anything, even living bugs. Rather than a combination of crystals and infection like in the game, infected husks in this scenario would have their minds enslaved by the crystals alone. Another group of creatures with a hive mind similar to that of the mushroom clan are the bees of the hive. At the center of this hive mind is probably Queen Vespa, seeing as the bee's main goal seems to be carrying out tasks to maintain the hive as well as protect her. If she could grow as large as she has and control so many creatures, she's likely a very powerful being. Well, what if she extended this influence to bugs outside the hive, essentially infecting them? As for what part of nature she could embody that bugs could not resist, possibly the mind itself and the desire to connect with the minds of others so as not to be mentally isolated, or nectar in plants that is used to make honey. Infected bugs would probably look similar to the husk hives found within the bee's territory in the game. Yet another thing that may cause an infection on its own, independent of the Radiance, could be the Sanctum scholars' overconsumption of soul. Like the infection in the game, it turned them into twisted mutants and its power took over their minds. These infected bugs may also escape from the Sanctum and use their power to similarly mutate any bug they come across, eventually spreading the infection throughout the whole kingdom. So what do you think? Which of these scenarios do you find most interesting? Can you think of any more? Let me know in the comments. Thank you for watching this video. Please be sure to check out the rest of my channel and subscribe if you like what you see. I hope you have a great day, and I'll see you next time.